Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our daily morning meditation session. Please continue saying hello as you always do, because it's lovely to see where you're all tuning in from. A lot of people from the UK, and I know a lot of us having a really beautiful day here, so that's nice to wake up to. So welcome wherever you are. We're here again with Kyra Jewel Lingo, and I'm just going to briefly mention a couple of things before we start. So just to let you know, if this is your first time joining us, how the session's going to run. We're here for an hour. We'll start with a bit of a contemplation, going into a guided meditation, and then we'll be finishing with a Q&A session at the end, so about the last 10 or 15 minutes or so. And this is your opportunity to ask any questions you may have. So if you would like to ask a question of Kyra Jewel, there are two ways you can do it. If you'd like to come on screen and share your screen with her, please feel free to let me know in the chat bar, and I can bring you on when it seems to make sense. The other way to ask a question is just pop your question in the ask a question box right underneath the video screen, rather than putting it in the sidebar, because the sidebar moves quickly. If you put it in the ask a question box, Kyra Jewel will be sure to see it there and will be able to answer it for you. And then the other thing I'd like to mention is Dana, or donations. We rely on your generosity to be able to bring these sessions to you every day. And I know a lot of you have been saying how much you value these sessions during this period of lockdown. And we're really, really happy to be able to do this. But we do have ongoing costs that we need to meet in order to be able to continue with them. Costs of the platform, costs of hosting our website, costs of the software that we use for various things, etc., etc. So we would ask, if you're able to contribute anything financially, we would be really grateful, be very much appreciated, and you'd be helping to make sure that these sessions continue as long as they need to. It's really easy to donate. Just click on the Dana button, the green button right underneath your screen. You'll see that there'll be a couple of options that pop up, and you can choose the one that suits you best. And half of what you give will go to Kyra Jewel to support her as well. So I'm going to take myself off and we'll start the session.
Hi, Caroline, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. I apologize, there's some background noise. My neighbor is hammering on some metal stairs, so not much I can do about that, but trust that we'll all be able to include it in our time together. And can you hear me all right? Just checking that my sound is coming through. Good morning, everyone. Just checking that if you can, yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So happy Vesak for those who celebrate this holiday. It's a holiday in many Buddhist countries. For many people who follow the Buddha's teachings. This is the day that we celebrate the Buddha's birth. And in Plum Village monasteries, there would be a beautiful ceremony of bathing the baby Buddha. And it's an opportunity for us to contemplate our own Buddha nature, the the nature of awakening in us and how to celebrate that. So I'll offer some reflections on connecting to the energy of the Buddha in us, and a meditation also on just allowing the Buddha to come and be with us and support us, and ultimately dissolving the sense of the difference between us and the Buddha. So once again, I really love the definition of the Buddha in us as our freshness, our nobility. And when we hear about the story of the Buddha's life, it's a really interesting inquiry to see that as our own journey, to somehow reflect on our own desire to see our minds more clearly, and track our own journey as somewhat similar to the Buddha's in terms of what was it that really opened the gates for us and put us on some kind of a path where we were curious about our minds and hearts. This sense of freshness, the sense of nobility is what brings us to the cushion whenever we come to practice. It's what brings us to these calls each morning. It's something very trustworthy, something very very alive and in touch with a source that is very important. So I've mentioned this on another of these calls, but one of the practices that I really appreciated that Thich Nhat Hanh would share is to call upon the Buddha in us. And he offered this phrase, this mantra, you could say, "The Buddha is in me, I have confidence." You could do that with your breath as you breathe in and you're meditating. The Buddha is in me, I have confidence. So there was this real invitation he was bringing to us to recognize that we and the Buddha are not separate, that was the Buddha's real awakening, real insight of his moment of enlightenment was all beings have the nature of awakening, they just don't know it. But he was like this big secret that could make such a big difference for everyone if they would treat themselves and treat others as Buddhas to be, not anything separate from a Buddha, or Buddhas that are already Buddhas, just still waking up to that. So this practice of the Buddha is in me, I have confidence, is remembering that and opening to that possibility. And I know just, my experience of once I was leading a retreat for Black, Indigenous, and people of color. This was 2 years ago or so, and we had many more people show up than we thought. So we had to shift all of our plans and redo the hall and redo the work schedule and all this kind of administrative stuff. We didn't have a retreat manager. And so we were really busy on the day of arrival. We were checking people in. We were, taking their payment. We were showing them to their rooms. We were making sure dinner was happening, like all of this stuff. And, right up until the moment of orientation talk and the first talk. And I had put some notes down of what I wanted to share, but I felt totally unprepared to give a talk because my brain had been so focused on all the details of welcoming people to this retreat. And so I had a moment of a bit of like, what am I going to talk about? All these people, more than we expected, and I have no real plan. And I remember we had a meditation before the talk, luckily. And I remember in the meditation just saying, calling on the Buddha, as Thai encouraged us to, and saying, hey, can you come help? Because I don't have anything here. I don't have something in my mind to say. But I really was inviting my connection to this deeper source to come and support me. And as I relaxed, basically, instead of worrying about how it was going to go, some inspiration came to me and I just knew what I should talk about. And the talk went fine. And so it's exactly this, when we invite this Buddha in us, this energy of freshness and dignity to come and support us, it does. So this is a story Thai tells where he also was doing this practice. He was in Korea, in South Korea, and they were doing a day of mindfulness at the demilitarized zone between South and North Korea. And there were lots and lots of people there. And he finished the talk, and he was wanting to lead, I don't know, a couple thousand people in a walking meditation, walking mindfully in this demilitarized zone. And he was surrounded by a crowd of photographers with their cameras, just shoving cameras into his face, trying to get the best picture as he was leading the walk. And there was literally no place to walk. He had to lead the walk and he couldn't walk and he wasn't sure what to do. And then he just defaulted to the Buddha inside. He said, okay, Buddha, you have to take care of this because I don't know what to do here. And so he just took a breath and he released his own need to make something happen of his own accord. And he just started to walk. He let the Buddha in him initiate the walk, and the wave of cameramen and camera women, photographers just parted, and he was able to find an area to walk. So he offered this as an example of whenever any of us are striving, whenever we're trying really hard, and where things are difficult and they're not going well, we don't see a way forward, we can just relax back, not try to push through and make it happen ourselves, but call on that Buddha nature in us, the Buddha in us, to come and support us and give us direction. And we can do this whenever we're struggling, to support us to relax, to access some part of ourselves that does know how to handle this situation. And to really let the Buddha take over and guide us, and this sense of, we don't have to do anything. We can let the Buddha do it. So often we think that we have to make everything happen. But what if we were to let the Buddha do it? And what if we didn't have to do anything? And that sense of resting back and allowing something to come and take over in the best of ways, in this sense of, another story he would tell is of like a monk was trying to figure out something on the computer, and once you make like a mistake on the computer, sometimes if you do too many more things, and it's like you reach the point of no return. So this monk was very frustrated and confused trying to get this program or something to work, and his elder brother was very experienced in computer programming, and so he asked his brother to help. So he just stood up and let his brother sit at the computer. This elder monk figured out what the problem was, resolved the glitch, fixed the bug, whatever it was, and then he could continue with his work. So it's the same idea of just get out of the way and let the Buddha handle it if it's too much for us. So this meditation is born from that experience of Thais in Korea, and that trusting that the Buddha is in us and we can have confidence in the Buddha. So it's a traditional kind of Plum Village style practice where there's a phrase that accompanies the in-breath and a phrase that accompanies the out-breath, and then keywords that we can continue to practice on our own in the silence with the in-breath, with the out-breath. And there's 5 exercises. And so each one will be able to practice in silence. After I offer you the keywords. And so you can keep repeating them and, really not just saying them in your mind, but really doing your best to feel into them, to let them be in your body, let them be in your mind as fully as you can, to connect with the meaning and the truth of them. And if it's not helpful for you to connect the phrases with the breath, you can let the breath go. Sometimes it doesn't help everyone. So if that's your case, just relax into the experience of the phrases without connecting it to the breath. You could feel your body as you bring to mind the keywords of the exercise. So just use the breath if it's helpful. And if not, you can find another way to anchor your experience of the phrases. So choosing now a posture that supports you. Could be seated or standing or lying down. So come into a position that creates ease and alertness. Noticing the flow of your breath. Being in touch with your body, the 3-dimensionality of your body, where your body is making contact with whatever it's supported by. And allowing the body to rest and release any tension that you would like to let go of that's not helpful to you right now. Sense of releasing your weight and softening. Softening in the face, the shoulders. You could breathe deeply in and out a few times and just let yourself release as you exhale. Releasing and letting go in the chest and the belly, down the back. Breathing deeply into the body, and as you exhale, releasing. Noticing if there's places in the body that are pleasant or neutral, where it's enjoyable to experience, where you feel some sense of rest happening. And giving yourself space to rest, enjoy, and appreciate your body and your breath. Breathing in, I let the Buddha breathe. I let the Buddha sit. Breathing out, I don't have to breathe. I don't have to sit. Let the Buddha breathe. Let the Buddha sit. I don't have to breathe. I don't have to sit. So this is the deepest rest we can invite. So we don't have to be trying to practice. We don't have to do anything. Just letting the Buddha in us breathe and sit. I don't have to breathe. I don't have to sit. I can completely relax and let go and let the Buddha take over. Breathing in, the Buddha is breathing. The Buddha is sitting. Breathing out, I enjoy the breathing. I enjoy the sitting. The Buddha is breathing. The Buddha is sitting. I enjoy the breathing. I enjoy the sitting. So we allow the Buddha to breathe. We allow the Buddha to sit. And we get to just hang out and enjoy. No effort. No striving. Just letting it happen for us. Breathing in, the Buddha is the breathing. Breathing out, the Buddha is the sitting. Breathing in, I am the breathing. Breathing out, I am the sitting. Buddha is the breathing. The Buddha is the sitting. I am the breathing. I am the sitting. So ultimately, there's no difference between the Buddha and ourselves. The Buddha is the breathing. The Buddha is the sitting. I am the breathing. I am the sitting. Breathing in, there is just the breathing. There is just the sitting. Breathing out, there is no one breathing. There is no one sitting. There is just the breathing. There is just the sitting. There is no one breathing. There is no one sitting. So there doesn't need to be a self for sitting and breathing to be happening. It's just the breathing. There's just the sitting. There is no one breathing. There is no one sitting. Breathing in peace and joy while breathing. Peace and joy while sitting. Breathing out. Peace is the breathing. Joy is the sitting. Peace and joy while breathing. Peace and joy while sitting. Peace is the breathing. Joy is the sitting. Peace and joy are right here. They're no other place but right now. Peace and joy while breathing. Peace and joy while sitting. Peace is the breathing. Joy is the sitting. So feel free now to just listen to this meditation in the form of a song, but it's also a call and response. So if you'd like to sing out loud and just repeat after me, you are most welcome to do so. Let the Buddha breathe. And your part might be, let the Buddha breathe. Let the Buddha sit. I don't have to breathe. I don't have to sit. The Buddha is breathing. The Buddha is sitting. I enjoy the breathing. I enjoy the sitting. The Buddha is the breathing. The Buddha is the sitting. I am the breathing. I am the sitting. There is just the breathing. There is just the sitting. There is no one breathing. There is no one sitting. Peace and joy while breathing. Peace and joy while sitting. Peace is the breathing. Joy is the sitting. Breathing, smiling, working, playing. And thank you for your practice, dear friends. We can slowly bring our attention back to our space together. And That song was composed by a dear friend who has since passed away. His name is Chi Sing. Chi Sing, he made some beautiful CDs of Dharma music, but I'll make sure to leave on the recording page, I'll leave a link to so you can listen to his more professional version of that song with instruments. As well as the exercises in the meditation. Make sure you can access those if you wish to do it again. So you're welcome to write anything in the chat about your experience from that meditation. And we will go into questions time. So this is Rivka, who's asking how to overcome my resistance to surrendering even to the Buddha. Whenever we have resistance to whatever it is, I think the best thing we can do is soften with that resistance. In this case, resistance to surrendering to the Buddha. We want to honor that and listen to that part of ourselves that isn't ready to do that right now, or that maybe needs some other thing to happen first before it feels comfortable to surrender. So I would bring a lot of kindness and interest and curiosity to the experience of resistance and try to understand without trying to push it away or analyze it, or like just, so there's something in me that doesn't want to surrender. What's that feel like in my body? How does it show up? Can I accept it? Can I accept that I'm not willing to surrender yet? Can I let that be okay and not judge it? And then as we embrace this part of ourselves with acceptance, with interest, with kindness, it will generally begin to offer some kind of insights into what it's about. And we may understand better that it has a purpose, it has a reason for being here. And we need to honor that. And that will lead us into the possibility of surrender once we let go of having to surrender, of any expectation that we will surrender. So we just let ourselves be as we are and soften around that. And this is from David. The self seems to have a strong presence in me right now. I'm trying to resist the struggle to lose myself in meditating. Do you think this might be from a lack of sleep and an overstimulated mind at this time? I guess there's always many things that could be going on. It's not always easy to say, it's this or it's that, and it's not anything else. But definitely when we have a lack of sleep and overstimulation in the mind, there's usually two extremes the mind wants to go into. Either we want to just crash and we get sleepy, or we lose all of our kind of attention, our presence, because our mind is so full. When we stop and slow down, the mind just goes into kind of kind of zones out. It needs to rest. Or it can go into kind of rigid, like, oh, I have to keep it together. I have to, try to hang on to something. And so maybe both of those things we can notice, like what it is that keeps this sense of self strong and that doesn't want to let go. And I think bringing it into the body is always a good idea. So when you notice any kind of agitation or resistance to just releasing, just see where you can feel that in the body and see if the body will release that. So don't try to do it in your mind, but just see if your body will allow some kind of letting go, some kind of deeper rest to happen. And it's quite okay if you're sleepy and sleep deprived to let yourself deeply rest in sitting meditation, or if you're lying, or whatever position. And it can be very refreshing to allow yourself to sleep, even with some sense of awareness that that's what's happening. You can notice, oh, here's sleepiness, here's sleepiness. Notice how the sleepiness affects you. So don't fight that. If you're tired, allow yourself to rest. Of course, if you can sleep more, that would also help and give you maybe more energy in your meditation, but sometimes that's not possible. We're living in some pretty intense times and it can affect our sleep. And so meditation may be the place where the body gets what it needs. It gets the rest it needs. So we can just allow that to happen without judging it and without resisting it. So if there's a wish to let go, then doing whatever we can to allow that to happen. Petra says, I felt some fear saying no one was breathing. I'm trying to understand that. Yes, very good observation that when we come to that point, it's a pretty significant shift to make when we're used to seeing ourselves as a separate self, as someone with an identity and a history, that suddenly to say there's nobody here doing anything, there's just the breathing, there's just the sitting. So it's not that we don't exist, we are here, there is a body here, but there's no separate self here. There's no when you go through the stages of first letting the Buddha take over, and then the Buddha's doing it, you just get to enjoy it. That's the second one. And then the third one is the Buddha is the breathing and the sitting, and I am the breathing and the sitting. And then you're like, well, if the Buddha's is this and I am this, then there's no difference between the Buddha and I. So the Buddha and I are one. And then that fourth exercise that you're pointing to is taking it in another step further, saying, if the Buddha and I are one, then who am I? And am I actually doing anything, or is this just happening? Is this just life revealing itself? And it can be a very profound practice to bring into other parts of our lives. Walking down the street, can we have the experience that there's just walking, there's no one walking? It means we are made up of everything else. including the Buddha. And so that's what's walking down the street. It's everything we're made up of: the sun, the moon, the rain, the soil, the food, all of our ancestors, all of our descendants. It's a stream that's walking down the street. It's not anything solid. That's, just like you can't take one part of the stream and say, this is the stream. It's this whole flow of continuously moving and changing reality. So it's the same with us. Like we're full of everything else. The only thing we don't have is a separate existence that's cut off from life. So that's the invitation. And yes, it can be scary to feel like we're losing something that we feel is the ground beneath us. But the truth is, there is no ground. And so then when we touch that, I mean ground in the sense of this separate self, when we touch that, there's immense freedom. So you could explore that fear of what is that fear of not being anyone here doing the breathing, doing the sitting. There's this sense of freedom, this sense of all of life is here doing the breathing, doing the sitting. But I would say go towards the fear. Don't go away from it. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's got a lot to teach, and it has a lot of wisdom to listen to. So opening to that. And Patricia shares, I feel enlivened and curious with a sense of experiencing my birthday as a baby Buddha too. Beautiful. This sense of we're all baby Buddhas today, and this is all of our birthday. Thank you for bringing that to us, Patricia. And we do get to touch this sense of being very alive and curious and interested, and it's the teaching. It's so important of the beginner's mind that we always want to keep our freshness, our new eyes to look at life and see it as always new. We've never actually been in this moment before, so it is new. So seeing ourselves as the baby Buddha, this deep, trustworthy, true nature of awakening that we all have, that we can have confidence in, gives us this opportunity to turn to life with wonder, with amazement. So thank you all, the lovely community, for being here today, for celebrating the Buddha's birth in each of us today. And I wish all of you a wonderful rest of your day, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Happy Vesak.